Let's make a plant-based Reuben sandwich. Welcome back to the Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show, where we make plant-based cooking easy. I'm Jill, and today we are going to make a delicious Reuben sandwich. I don't know about you, but I love Reubens. So we're going to make this really healthy plant-based Reuben for you. And we are going to use tempeh today. So this is just an 8-ounce package of plain tempeh that we're going to flavor ourselves. And the flavors we're going after is from the typical meat that would go in, I think it's corned beef, or some people use pastrami. So we're going to use some similar spices to flavor our tempeh. So I've already got my oven preheated to 350 degrees, and we're going to get our spices going here. I've got half a teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, half teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of smoked paprika, 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and 2 teaspoons of Bragg's liquid aminos. And then I've got 1/4 cup of water. And we're going to throw in a good amount of cracked pepper. And that's completely up to you how peppery you want it. But I like it to be kind of peppery. So I'm going to put probably about 1/2 teaspoon of pepper. Then we're just going to stir it up a little bit. Make sure we get all the chunks out of there. And then I've just got a baking dish here, just a small baking dish. You don't want it too big because, you know, it's not very much liquid. You want it to be able to contain that liquid. So we're going to pour that right in the bottom. And then we're going to add our tempeh. And I've already sliced it up pretty thin, just as thin as I can get it, and it will still hold together. We're just going to lay it down in that sauce. And I've got 2 pieces here left, so I'm just going to break them in a little bit smaller just so they'll fit in the pan. And then we're going to stick it in the oven, and I'm going to bake it for 10 minutes on one side, and then I'm going to flip. Okay, so now that your tempeh is in the oven, we're going to move on to the cheese sauce, which typically a Reuben sandwich would have a slice of melted Swiss. So we're going to make a cashew spread that you can use later on for other things. So I've got 1/2 cup of cashews here that I've soaked for about an hour just to soften them up a little bit, and then I drained off the water. I'm going to put those in our blender cup here. I've got 1 teaspoon of Bragg's, 1/2 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, and 1.5 tablespoons of nutritional yeast, and then 1/4 cup of water. Now we're just going to blend this up until it's really smooth and creamy, and then it can set up and get a little bit more firm while everything is finishing up before we prepare. While we're waiting for that, I'd like to share some background on our show. The Whole Food Plant-Based Cooking Show is crowd-funded, which means these free weekly recipe videos, along with our entire catalog of free printable recipes on our website, plantbasedcookingshow.com, and our Plant-Based Cooking Made Easy cookbook series, are all made possible in part by the generous patronage of our supporting membership community. So if you love our recipes, I invite you to join us on our mission to make plant-based cooking easy, and follow the link in the description to become a supporting member today. There's no denying the plant-based diet is a nutrient powerhouse, but did you know there are a handful of hard-to-get nutrients even well-crafted diets are often lacking? The latest research suggests that complementing your diet with a few specific vitamins, minerals, and omega-3s will help boost your energy and keep you thriving for the long term. That's why my daily health routine includes Complement Essential. Complement Essential contains the 8 critical nutrients lacking from most plant-based diets in dosages optimized specifically for us. As a special discount for our viewers, just use code PLANTBASEDEASY at checkout to save 15% off of your order. Okay, there's your really simple spread, and we're just going to leave this on the countertop while the tempeh is getting finished and while we get out our other ingredients for preparing and for assembling. And as this sits, it's going to set up a little bit thicker, and even tomorrow when you put this in the refrigerator, it's going to get even more firm. Okay, now that our tempeh is done and our cheese is set up, we are ready to assemble. But you're going to need two other things or three other things. So this is my buckwheat bread recipe, which I hope you've already made and enjoy. I just altered it a little by adding 1.5 tablespoons of caraway seeds and 1 tablespoon of molasses. But we'll give you a link to that in the description below, along with my Thousand Island dressing and my homemade sauerkraut. So now all that's left is to assemble. So I'm going to put on little of the cheese sauce first on one piece. And I did grill these slightly. I put them on my griddle just to kind of seal the surfaces front and back, just so that when you put these sauces on, it doesn't really get soggy. It still will after a while, just like any bread, but this will make it even more delicious. All right, so a little of the cheese sauce. Then I'm going to put some sauerkraut. And I like to have a good amount of sauerkraut. I love the taste. It's so tangy. Really gives you just a punch of flavor, and this is so good for your gut biome. Sauerkraut is just a wonderful thing. Any kind of fermented food, along with tempeh, which is also fermented. Just going to put a little bit of the tempeh on there. Oh, it smells so good in here. Okay. And then I'm going to pour a little bit of my Thousand Island dressing on the top. And the Thousand Island is pretty thick. So this is if you have it already made and you feel like if it's a little too thick, you can always add just a little bit of water and just swirl it around and it'll be just fine. All right. Put it together. Oops, that fell out. All right, now all that's left is a taste. So I'm gonna meet you at the table for a taste. All right, let's taste this guy. Boy, this has been a long time in the making. Each element by itself is its own thing. So I'm so glad it's done. All right. That sauerkraut and dressing is so tangy. And the tempeh is kind of smoky. You are gonna love it. Come on back next week for another great recipe.